TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, was a vital part of Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal program. The Tennessee Valley performed far below any other region of the country in terms of the economic well-being of the citizens here. And the agency was given the task basically of transforming the Tennessee Valley region through flood control, improved navigation, and social and economic development. One of the best ways they felt like to really start that effort was by educating their employees. And part of the effort involved taking books out to work sites. At the beginning of the agency, a great many of the employees were located practically in the wilderness at dam sites that were miles away from cities, libraries, schools, and places where they could actually get the information that they needed to do their jobs. So the Tennessee Valley Authority Library was established. Mary Utopia Rothrock is the most important figure in terms of TVA library history, but she's also important in terms of the Lawson McGee Public Library here in Knoxville, and important to the regional library system that was established during the 1930s. She went to school in New York to become a librarian and then took a job in Memphis. When the Knox County system decided to set up a library, she was the one that they ended up hiring to be the chief librarian here in Knoxville. She held that position from 1914 until 1933, when she became a consultant with the Tennessee Valley Authority. Within the next year, she became the chief librarian for the Tennessee Valley Authority. She had a passion for sharing information with the people, and to do that, she was willing to go pretty far, to take some extreme steps. Some of our dams were located in areas that were far away from any small town or city, and in those cases, when people were working away from civilization, so to speak, we arranged to pack up books in waterproof boxes that would hold about 60 books, and those were made part of the actual wagon. They generally went with the people who were involved in handling the tools that were being used at the sites, and they were circulated and shared among employees just like the tools were. Our TVA historian and photo archivist, Patty Zell, she dug up a photograph that actually shows the room in the TVA library where these materials were processed. On the shelves, you can see the books that are going to be going out to the sites. You see a work table where the library staff members are processing the materials. And you also, in the background, see the actual book boxes, those waterproof boxes that were packed full of books, added to the saw filers' wagons, and taken out to the various locations. The service was so popular that by the late 1930s, we were circulating over 13,000 books every month, which is a huge figure. It was a way for them to be part of a wider world, to learn more, and gave them the potential for growth that they might not have had otherwise. When you move to an area where there's really nothing going on except just work for the father, and then the mother and the children are fairly well trapped away from civilization, well, what are they going to do? One thing they can do is read. Well, the librarians made the selections. The books that were available were in large part designed to help people educate themselves, live better lives. They had the technical materials that were important for people actually doing work at the dams, but they also had literature, popular fiction, mysteries, westerns. Our records indicate that Zane Grey was the most popular author with the men who were out working at the various construction sites. One of the things people were interested in was the natural environment in which they were working. I found one of these older books from 1937. It's the Book of Birds. And there were lovely illustrations and descriptions of the type of birds that they were going to be seeing out at these construction sites. And these are also important because the people who learned about birds at the construction site could then share that information with their children. My father was a TVA employee. He began working at Watts Bar Steam Plant in 1948, and he worked at TVA for 40 years. 2 years ago, we were in the process of merging two of our library branches, and as I was going through some of the books, I found one on gardening and happened to glance in the back at the little checkout card and saw my dad's name, and he had checked that book out back in 1969. It felt good. It really did. It was a nice little touch. Now, Mary Utopia Rothrock was known as a bit of a dynamo. Basically, the small libraries that she set up all over the valley, wherever TVA was doing work, morphed into city and county libraries, and they became part of that regional library system. I've got quite a bit of information on the regional library service that was set up, but in terms of what we were actually doing with employees, there's just scraps. There's so little information. Articles written in library publications that talked about the adult education program of the Tennessee Valley Authority and would have maybe one sentence talking about how books were taken to different sites. But the impetus behind it was really not discussed in the articles that we found when we've gone back to try and research this topic. It was just what you did.